Explore your thoughts. Learn what you think you already know. We're taking you on a journey to the other side. Welcome everyone back to another edition of The Other Side. Thanks to all my fans who've been keeping up with the recent interviews of the last election season and everything else going on, and kind of took a little break for a little bit. I've been wanting to get back in the studio to start getting some very hot topic interviews, whether it be political or local politics or other events that are going on, topics that interest me, and hopefully that interests you. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your patience. So today for my first guest, kicking off this, if you want to call it the next season of podcast, is a guy he's a friend of the podcast. This is his third visit on it, Mr. J. Callegari. And recently, PhD, Dr. Callegari, as he just finished up his doctoral programs. Mm-hmm. And those of you that remember that watched the podcast and kind of kept up with the election with the police jury and everything with the whole home rule charter and the petition to transition from the current police jury system to a home rule charter, there was a lot of, I guess, questions and some controversies and whatever. And Mr. J. Callegari, he's kind of at the forefront with the information with it and kind of, I guess, leading the charge, or at least if not, he's a voice, a vocal voice for it, if nothing else. So, Mr. J, Dr. Callegari, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lance. Good to be here.
So what can you tell us, anything updated? So let's start from the beginning. Let's do that.
All right.
A brief summary of what, just kind of take us through from where we're at.
Several years ago, a group of people got together and wanted to have Avoyelles write a charter which would basically change the government of the parish. Now, that process is laid out in the 1974 Louisiana Constitution, and it basically lays out a framework for parishes want to do this, and 26 parishes have done it, and if we do it in Avoyelles, we'll be the 27th. So a home rule charter changes from a police jury type of government to basically the Constitution written for your parish. It allows you to have more autonomy as a local government, and it separates you from some of the constraints that the state government has on you. So it started off as an idea, and the way it works is this idea is formed in the parish, and typically, and in fact, in all other 26 times it's happened in 26 other parishes, the police jury has appointed a commission to write a charter, and then the people get to look at the charter and vote on it to see if they like the aspects of it, if they want to switch that parish to that charter as opposed to the police jury system. Now, in Avoyelles, we tried that, and the police jury did not want to, they voted 5-4 and then 6-3 to not allow that charter to be written. So it became an adjudicated subject, meaning it went to court, people were sued, because, as you said, we went the avenue where we got 10% of the voters to sign a petition saying that we want to write this charter, right? And they were supposed to do their fiduciary duties, do their administrative duties and call for this election of commissioners to write a charter, and they didn't, so it went through the court process. Well, before the court process had ended, 4 out of the 5 or 6 police jurors that were against it came up for election. And this one issue basically got these guys unelected. These are incumbents, and some of them have been there a long time, lost their election, mainly due to this one issue of not allowing the voters the choice to have a charter written and look at it. So, and that was a couple years ago, and Avoyelles made history in that aspect, as we were the first parish to have to go through that process to have our charter be written. So where we're at today is that
and there's also courts and filings, and they basically, didn't they sue?
Oh yeah, so we went through the court process where they The police jury did not do their administrative
And
duty.
they hired an outside
They
attorney
hired
from
an outside attorney.
Alexandria.
They ended up spending over $65,000 of taxpayer money on this attorney to try and fight the public's will to be able to write a charter, which had never been happened before for obvious reasons. That never happened before. Who would spend money, taxpayer money, to fight the taxpayer from being able
Right.
to
So,
choose?
so right now the 65,000 that was paid to the
Yes,
lawyer.
yeah.
This issue is finished now since the
It's
election.
finished
So
now.
that $65,000
In fact,
is gone.
after the election was over, the new police jury, which had, like I said, 4 or 5 new members in it after the election, they voted 9-0 to settle the case and form a commission to write the charter. So that's what we did. What we did, this group, because we wanted this charter to represent everybody in the parish. We didn't want to assert, I guess, our political capital of this election. We wanted it to be just as fair as it would have been. So we asked all 9 police jurors, whether they were for it or against it in the beginning, to help us appoint a member to be on this commission. So we have a diverse group of people on this commission. So we have 9 members on this commission that were appointed from each police jury district by the police jurymen that won this last election. And then we have 2 at large as part of the settlement. The 2 at large on this are myself, and I'm the chairman of it, and Representative Dauzat. He's the co-chair of it. So we have been meeting for 5 months now, once a month, and we're going over issues one by one. We haven't voted on anything. I have in fact, I sent you what I refer to as a skeleton of the written charter. It is it's simply a template at this point, and in it, I highlighted and bolded some decision points where the commission will have to make those decisions on how we want this charter to be written for Avoyelles for the voters to look at later.
So, Jay, you say that each police juror elected their own appointed to a commissioner, right?
Right.
So none of the current police juries are themselves a commissioner.
Right.
Everyone appointed someone.
Right, and they could have been. We wouldn't have been against
So
that.
that would have been an option as well.
It would have been an
They
option,
could
yeah.
have. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so how do you come along? How did the other 2 seats, yourself and Representative Dizatel, come about
So,
for the chair and co-chair?
As I said, this last election seemed to have proved that the charter advocates raised a lot of political capital. So we wanted those 9 members, but we also wanted somebody like me and Rep. Desatel to be in there to guide those 9 members to help them decide how to write this charter. And that's what we're doing. We're coming up with ideas, and we're presenting it to, not only presenting it to these commissioners, we are giving them or asking them to do research and tasks on it to come back to the meeting and tell us what they found. So it was pretty interesting. One of the meetings, we had a delegation from Point Capee Parish come and speak at the meeting. And Point Capee Parish is the most recent parish to become a home rule charter parish. And they brought their parish president, and they brought several of their council members, and then they brought a couple of people who actually wrote their charter, who were part of their process. And we all had questions for them, and the meeting could have gone all night. We had to stop it at some point, but we were asking questions, and they were answering them. And it really brought it helped us from making some of the mistakes that they made along the way, because now we know, hey, this is a pitfall. These guys have done it before, and they made a mistake. Let's try and not make that same mistake.
How long have they been a home rule charter?
I want to say 7 years. I think their president's going into his 2nd term, but he was elected midterm, and then he served a whole term, and then he was just reelected.
So y'all can kind of go look through like you said, the pitfalls, things that are, or maybe that went by the wayside that wasn't noticed, and to create a better form of.
Correct. And we have St. Landry Parish coming this next month. Our meetings are the 2nd Wednesday of each month, unless otherwise specified, at 5:30 at the LSU Ag Center in Mansura, and the public is welcome to come. So yeah, we have the parish president from St. Landry, and hopefully he'll bring a delegation as well, and we can ask them similar questions and maybe learn what how to better write our charter.
Right. So whenever y'all meet up, Jay, like who do you have, like a someone typing ideas that are being presented and shouted out, or does everyone bring a piece of paper with notes on it and y'all
So, we have an agenda.
about it?
It's a public meeting, and it falls under public meeting laws. During the settlement to create this, we can make our own rules for this commission as we go. And so I will email out an agenda, and I will, prior to the legal date that it has to be emailed out, and I will ask all the members if they have anything they want to add to the agenda, and sometimes they do. And we put that agenda out publicly. The police jury puts it out the same way they put all their other agendas out, and we put it out online. You can find it on Facebook on Avoyelles Home Rule Charter Commission, and so that way everybody knows what to expect when they get to the meeting. And then while we're there, of course, we have a recording secretary. Mr. Foster is our recording secretary. He's on the commission, and he after the meeting's over, he'll email me the minutes of it, of what happened, just like any other public meeting.
So you said on Facebook that's Avoyelles Home Rule Charter.
Yes, and it's the same group that used to be called
We the People.
We the People.
I got you, because I was looking for that the other day. We the People, and so you just changed the
Yeah,
name.
Avoyelles Home Rule Charter Commission.
Commission.
And it's there's just under 3,000 members in it now. You have to ask to be part of it because we don't want the bots, and we don't want the
sure.
hackers and all that in there. So we kind of have to prove you're from here, or at least have some roots here. Where you're
Right.
interested
Yeah.
in it.
Absolutely. So, whenever y'all meet, are there any topics that are, I guess, contested back and forth, or disagreed upon, or,
Sure,
or
yeah.
is it?
Yeah,
So how do y'all?
we're discussing a lot of issues every time, and like I said, we haven't voted on what to put in the charter because as we go through these issues, all of us are bringing in new ideas, and we're talking to constituents in our areas, and we're finding out new ideas and what people are for or against, and we're bringing that back to the meetings and discussing them with each other. And some of these issues that we're discussing, of course, we're discussing the parish president's salary, which seems to be a big
Right.
issue, with the public, and as it should be. That's our tax money. Every time you're spending the people's tax money, it's important. So other parishes range from anywhere from 65,000 a year to 165,000 a year, and it doesn't really seem to be based exactly on budget and size of the parish. It's just what the charter decides. So when Point Capee came, their parish president makes 90% of the average pay of their clerk of court and their assessor.
Excuse me 1 second,
Yeah.
Jay. So the viewers can see this. Chris, we traded my new producer, Chris. Go back to the document you had up earlier and go to page 12, and that way they can kind of see as Dr. Callegari is kind of narrating it. Keep going to page 12. Let's see, and then it'll be. I think it'll be highlighted when you get there. There's a highlighted part. Oh, right there. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jay.
Okay, so
hit 5.
one of the reasons that I'm suggesting to the group is that we do a percentage of salary of comparable elected parish officials, is because you don't have to go back in 20 years and give them a raise. That raise is gonna go with the average pay of these other officials. So my suggestion to the group was average out the last 5 years of pay of the assessor, the clerk, and the sheriff. And we need to make the president's pay a percentage of that. It could be 60, 70, 80, whatever percent the commission decides based on what we think is necessary. But when you elect a parish president, he or she will have I want to say a 11 to 14 million dollar budget. They're going to have 30 to 40 employees that they're going to be over. So when you're talking about hiring a CEO to spend money, especially public money, it's important that you pay them what they're worth. But we're not a rich parish. We can't afford to pay them the same as East Baton Rouge may pay. So we have to really articulate what we want to do with that, with our group and with each other, and with the public if we want to get this passed.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how that pans out, because I think that'll be a big topic within our parish. Like you said, a parish of only 40,000 citizens. The money flow, like you said, versus East Baton Rouge Parish or something would be drastically different than that.
And that's what's great about the diversity of our commissioners, is that we have one of our commissioners he runs a $150 million company. So to him, he probably makes a lot more money than somebody who is an advocate for the public, or a preacher, or,
Right.
anything else. But to get all of their opinions in on what this is, we have some commissioners that want to pay the president, $160,000 a year, and others that are on the 50, 60, 70,000 side. I'm kind of in the middle. I think that you want somebody you want somebody to work, and to you want to pay them because they're going to be making their money back. They're going to be making whatever we spend on them back with their policies and with their savings whenever they get in there. And we've seen that in other parishes. But so I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, because I believe that there's a part you do need to get paid for what you do, but the goal is not to make money with this job. You're a public servant. People get
Right.
into public service not just for money. They get into it for the good of the community, and to do good for their neighbors and their family and their friends and the future of the parish.
I think another topic is the districting. I seen it was kind of left open, like we would start with the current school board districts, which to me makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But it could be changed in regards to whatever uh, demographics or whatnot. So I guess is that something that would be sorted out before the final charter is written, or that's just leaving it open for we could change this later on?
That should be sorted out before that'll be the final decision of the commission will be presented to the voters. But right now, your police jury districts, you have 9 of them, and your school board districts, which you have 9 of, are different. Some of them are very similar. One may even be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But so every time there's a census, every 10 years, and they take the census, they redraw these lines. And the police jury pays somebody to come and redraw the lines, and the school board pays somebody to come and redraw the lines. And in addition, the voters in these areas may be in one school board district and another, and in fact, in a lot of times, they're in one school board district and another police jury district, and it kind of adds to voter confusion, and sometimes they just don't vote. They say, well, I don't know who's
Right.
in my district.
Yes,
I thought,
indeed.
you know,
I was an advocate of that many years ago. I had attended it was a school board slash police jury meeting, and and I had seen that, and like the police jury, I mean, not knocking anyone or whatever, but I think it was something like $50,000 to get someone to come and redraw the maps, because that was
Yep.
my suggestion of why can't we use the same, is it
And I asked why it was different, and I asked several people. I asked some attorneys that draw these lines. I had a very long conversation with an attorney who I think he drew the lines for the school board, and he said that over the years, and this has been over, this may be over 50 years, that there's been police jurors in there who maybe wanted to add a precinct to their district and take one away from another side, because maybe for political reasons, maybe they had some relatives that lived in that precinct, and they didn't need this precinct over here, but they wanted to add this one. And over
Right.
the years, it became convoluted, and some of these police jury districts are really out there. So when you're thinking about equity and inclusion, we have to think about probably the school board lines should be. I know they're under federal mandate to have your 3 minority districts, which your police jury is too. But I tend to believe, and I think my research showed, that the school board district lines are scrutinized heavier for racial equality than the police jury lines are, because of the long desegregation case we had in Avoyelles, if you recall.
right?
So
The
it would make more
homes,
sense when we have this chance to rewrite our government, to save money, and to not have our voters confused about who they're voting for and what district they're in, to make these lines the same and make them the same as the school board based on that reasoning.
Yeah, to me that makes, I mean, total sense. I mean, I've said this in the past before. When if you pull up your Go Vote app, it tells you all the districts and precincts and everything you're in. Well, no one knows their precincts. I mean, unless you're looking at it on there, B2 or whatever. But as far as the districts, you're in like 18 of them.
Right.
Between the water district, congressional districts, state representative,
Appeals
state
court, it
senate.
goes on and
That's
on,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's non-stop. So that would be at least eliminate one aspect of the confusion.
Right, and it
anyways.
saves the public money. So there's some that say that we would be sued because of it, but I just don't see that there's any merit in a lawsuit for that. And when you're doing something like this, you have to take a calculated risk sometime. Where if we just keep doing things the same way we've been doing them, won't we have the same results we've been having?
That's
And if we
right.
want better results, we really need to change the way we're doing things. And this is just one little thing, and there's a lot of these that's going to be in this charter that's going to change the way we do things. And there's not 100% guarantee that it will work. But like I always tell people, we're taking a calculated risk. Anytime you start a business or a family or an education, anything you do, you're taking a calculated risk and hope that it works out in the end. And we have really good people behind this, and I'm hoping when we do have the final copy out and the voters do get to vote on it and question it and talk about it and look at it, that it will have favorable passage based on the fact that we have intelligent people getting together, trying to decide what's best for the parish for no reason. We're not getting paid. The commission doesn't get paid. We don't make any money off of it, and we can't run for any of these positions that we create. So it's basically 11 people there. And look, these are some of the smartest people in the parish. They're getting together. That their police jurors have decided that they want them to make these decisions. And when we're done, we hope to have a document that we're proud of and that the public will vote favorably on.
So, and I think that's important that you noted that the ones that are writing this, there's no financial gains, as you know, and nor can there be in the future. You can't run for any of the positions. So that brings us up to the second part, I guess. So first of all, is there an estimated timeline that, like, a goal that y'all want to have it, the final passage, the final written, like, to present to the voters?
We have 18 months from February to present a completed charter to the police jury to put up to the voters. Now, that doesn't have to go up for a vote until the next election.
The next following November.
And we certainly
whatever
don't
it is.
want the parish to have to pay for an election just for
Correct.
us to put this on the ballot. So whatever next election is after that, which will probably be in early 2026, that's probably when we would have it. Because I don't think there is any parish-wide elections in 2025. There may be some city elections, but I don't think there's any. And we'll be done in the middle of 2025 anyway. Then you have to go before the bonding commission and get it bonded, and there's some other things you have to do before you put it on the ballot. But let's say it's put on the ballot in early 2026, right? And let's say it passes. In late 2026, we could be electing a parish president, the way the charter is going to be written, and you'd have your same police jury, but they will all of a sudden be called a parish council, and they will have a chairman instead of a president.
So it'd be the same people there.
Right.
But, so
We
then,
don't want to cut their election short. We don't want to cut their
Right.
4 years short. So what we'll do is they will run again at the normal appointed time, which would be 2028.
Yeah.
And whoever's elected the first president will continue through until they run again in the end. That's the way
Right.
Point Capee did it, and I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty fair to where, because you got to run, someone has to run in that district anyways, and you don't want to have a special election to do anything, so you just keep it what you have. And
Right, and they
let the
won. You want
chips-
them to do their
that's
4
right,
years at least and
that's
run
right.
again.
They won. So that once it's finished, its final passage is going to be presented to the voters. So let's say the voters read it. So how will it be presented to the voters? It'll be on a website.
It'll be on a website.
They'll get to go and read.
The paper should publish the entire. They can't publish the entire thing. It'd probably be around 40 pages. We may
Right.
be able to narrow that down a bit. And you look at these other charters, they're anywhere from 25 to 100 pages,
Yeah.
depending on what they have in them.
So say they read it and it gets voted down.
Yeah,
What would be the next?
that's it.
So
we
done.
stay with
We're
the
not
police jury system.
Repetitioning. We're not doing anything. If
no.
it try to doctor it up a little bit more.
I guess
if it fails, it
there's
fails.
I guess there's a chance if it was over maybe one issue and it was well known, you could start the process over again. But
Yeah, say a salary issue or something.
yeah,
or,
if it was over one issue and we knew it and everybody, I don't know how you would determine that, but yeah, I guess it's possible you could.
yeah, you'd
redo it.
almost have to take a poll.
In fact, I think it was voted down in maybe Natchitoches Parish. Don't quote me on that. It was one of the parishes voted down, and they rewrote it, and then they passed it.
so that would be an option as well. And
Right.
if not, we stick with what we
Right.
have.
And look, one of the main issues that we're going over too, and I don't know if I even had it highlighted on there because it's not a singular thing we're looking at. We're looking at the balance of power between your legislative and executive divisions in this new government, right? So when you look at Washington D.C., you look at Baton Rouge, you have the governor, and then you have the House and the Senate, or you have the Congress in Washington, and there's a balance of power between those two. We all know from eighth grade civics that democracy precludes having that balance to where one person is not all powerful, one body's not all powerful. That they play off of each other. The president can obviously veto anything a council passes. So we're being really careful to not give our parish president too much power in this, but we want him or her to have enough power that they can do their job right. And let me give you an example. We discussed this at our last meeting. The parish government has a lot of commissions, boards, and committees that they appoint every 4 years. I mean, that could be anything from the port commission to the library committee to the library board. So there's 3 water boards, and there's a slew of other ones. In another parish I had spoken to, the concern was that the president was able to appoint people to these commissions, boards, and committees without oversight. And we didn't want that. It was too much power. They said this particular president, and it may have been LaSalle or LaFou. I don't remember which parish it was. But so in Avoyelles, what we decided to do, we said, well, we're going to make it to where the council appoints and votes on people to replace these committees and boards and commissions. And we wanted them replaced every 4 years, or at least half of them replaced every 4 years if possible, because you have some boards on this parish where nobody even knows who's on them anymore. They've been on there so long. They haven't been replaced. And I'm telling you, we somebody called me the other day and asked who was on the airport commission, and I texted one of the police jurors, and he sent me a list back, and he said, but 2 of those people are dead, so we probably need to redo that. And that's
I'll be honest, I didn't know there was an airport commission. So.
Right, yeah. So that's one of the things. We're trying to balance that power between the two, and it's a slippery slope, and it's going to take some thinking about it. And look, we welcome anybody's opinion on it. When we have our meetings, we usually go into a working meeting, which means we talk to each other, and after that's over, we come out of the working meeting. The public can ask all the questions they want. They can have all the comments they want, and they do, and it really helps us. And so we're appreciative of anybody who wants to come to the meetings and speak with us and give us some ideas.
What are the qualifications, and it may not be finalized as of right now, the qualifications for parish president?
That is not finalized. We actually have a pretty good split on the board as far as that. Some of the members think that they need to, as much as having an engineering degree or having a certain amount of years working or running a business with a certain amount of employees. I'm kind of, again, I'm in the middle of that too. I want the parish president to have some kind of qualifications, because you don't want somebody who's really popular but is going to run the parish in the ground, and you don't want somebody who may be a good parish president that doesn't have those qualifications that can't run. So I'm probably in the end going to vote for just an age restriction. If I had it the way I want it, I would say that they would need to have either some college or some education to be able to just so we know that you're okay at math, and you can.
Right, there's a financial side of it. It's not just roads and bridges.
And you can speak in front of people. You can speak in front of a group of people.
Right, you're representing the parish.
And that you understand a little bit about infrastructure and economics and things like that. I don't know how that's going to end up in the end. That's something we're probably going to spend a lot more time talking about. So.
Yeah, I think that'll be one I'll be interested to see what that comes about as well. And I'm sure will it require term limits such as the council?
Certainly. In fact, that was one of the main driving factors behind this whole campaign, was having term limits on our local officials. So we're probably looking at 3 terms.
4 years?
Yeah, as a max.
Jay, is there anything else that we missing right here that you can add to the viewers, to their knowledge about the situation, or anything else about the parish, or anything that you could give any
man, I
foresight?
have been super busy this summer. I'm teaching full time between two different universities. So I've been kind of laying low and doing my work with this like I have to do, but I've been kind of staying out of everything else. And I've been doing a lot of work with the school board. Man, we got our budget coming up,
Yeah,
and
because you're a school board member as well.
I've been learning a lot about the budget, which I didn't know before, but I've been going to these budget meetings and talking with people who are experts on it. And the school board has a $40 million budget, and I wanted to know where that money was coming from and where it was going. And really, we're doing a great job with what we have here in Avoyelles. All your school board members, they probably know just as much or more than I do. They've been there, most of them been there longer than I have. So I wanted to learn about it a little more.
Yeah,
and it's
brought up to
interesting.
speed.
Right, and it's interesting when you see how that money comes in, where it goes out, how we're going to get more. I would love to see our teachers get a raise in the future. I don't know if we'll be able to ever be able to do that over here, but I think that our teachers are one of probably our most important assets here in the parish. And I'd love to keep as many teachers as we could, certified teachers here, and I'd love to be able to give them a raise. I pay property tax like everybody else. I wouldn't mind paying more to invest in our education. When you're talking about the future of a parish, that's why I ran for the school board. When you're talking about the future of a community, and you want to look at the factors that propel that into the future, that propel success in a community, education is always number one. Education predicates better health care, better everything within a community. It people to stay here. It brings jobs. It does all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting working with the school board. I've got 2.5 years left over there until I'll see if I want to run again there or not. But I'm really learning a lot while I'm there. Hopefully, I'm doing what the public needs. So
what district are you
District
in?
5,
District 5.
mainly Cottonport, Mansura, and everywhere in between. Those
Okay.
two.
Uh, would that be the only avenue as far as teacher pay raises? Would it be a tax increase, or are there other avenues
I
that
don't
potentially?
think I don't think we can do any. I don't think we can do any more sales tax increases. I don't know if I would be behind that anyway. We already have a pretty high sales tax in Avoyelles. We still bring in. We still have one of the lowest property tax rates in the entire state. And I was talking with our assessor the other day. I know we're in the bottom 5. Oh, it may be the bottom 2 or 3, but and I didn't understand what property taxes were, and he explained it to me, and he goes over a bunch of math on what a millage is. In the end, the easy way to explain it is that every property is assessed every certain amount of years, and they take that number, and you basically pay property tax based on what your property is assessed at. So
minus 75,000 for the first 75,000 is
right,
is
and there's a
exempt.
formula, and then they do like a tenth of a percent on every. Yep.
Yeah, like 0.0635, or depending on where you at. And then I had got with the assessor Heath, pastor, and just to kind of whenever that was back during the election, and I just wanted to know what's going on and kind of educate myself. And he went through it and kind of explained. In fact, I mentioned on the podcast we did some math, we showed some things and everything else. This might have been actually not last election. It might have been the year before. I think when they were bringing up for a millage tax or something. I don't remember, but I know we talked about it on the podcast before.
Let me give you an example of what, just because I've been curious about it and I've been looking into it. If you do a 9 mil property tax raise, it will somebody with $100,000 home, which is probably your average home price in Avoyelles, will pay $22 more a year in property taxes. That money generated from that would put our teachers from number 54 to number 45 as far as teacher pay.
Right.
So right now, out of 65 school districts, we're number 54, and it may be 56. Please don't quote me. But just a small tax raise like that would jump us, 10, 15 spots, which I know we're not going to be number 1. We're never going to be in the top 10. We don't have a big metropolitan area here, but man, whatever we can do for our teachers, I'm going to try and do it.
Right. And around here in Avoyelles Parish, and I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. But you mentioned taxes, like, whoa, stop the train.
Oh, I know. Every October on tax day when it comes in the mail, I'm one of those. I have a bad day.
And it helps to when we talk about these issues and everything else. Maybe we'll do a podcast just on that one day. What millages.
You know what I would like to do? I'd like to get Heath here, our assessor, and I'd like to break down the millages that we pay for different things. It'd be really surprising to a lot of people that for drainage in this parish, We pay a 3.5 millage, but for libraries, I think it's 8.2. And I think we have the same amount of libraries as the city of New Orleans has, as
Oh,
far
wow.
as numbers.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you look at it, when you look at our tax code, there's some things that probably need to be revamped. Some things that are a little upside down that
Yeah.
over the years bad decisions have been made on. But anyway, I'm not an expert on that. That's neither here nor there. It's just something I'm interested in, and
Yeah.
that'd be a good podcast. So
Yeah, I think so too. I think I may reach out to him and see if we can do a podcast.
he
with
knows
that.
he knows his stuff. He can
Yeah, he does.
he
I know
comes
I've,
with some
I've called a
numbers
few
quickly.
times for different things. And by the way, it's worth mentioning, their website
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing.
Oh, it
if
is.
you've never visited
Really
the,
interactive.
The assessor's office
Just
website,
type in Avoyelles Assessor's map. If you
yeah,
look at
go
the map.
to the map. And, years and years before, when I was a child, they had chunks of land and this in many places. Nobody knew who it belonged to.
Right.
If you were just curious or you were interested in purchasing a piece of property, you go through the assessor's office and boom,
Right.
it's right there. They did an amazing job with that. And also with the during the election season, they had the map with the police jury, the different districts and
Yeah.
all that. They had that thrown in there as well. I wasn't aware that was there until last year. So they are doing a great job there in the assessor's office.
They are.
So, all right, Jay, if you have one last final thought to add.
Man, Lance, I just appreciate you having me here. I think you're doing a great service to the community. I'd love to come back and talk about any of the issues that I know about. I'm not an expert on local politics by any means. The stuff I am an expert on is kind of boring to most people, but I don't mind talking about it if you ever want to. But appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. This is your third time coming, and I appreciate you dealing with me. And
anytime.
we're going through the issues to help inform the public. And everyone, y'all stay tuned. We got some very cool, interesting guests coming up. Not that Mr. J's not cool, but we have some really interesting guests. We're just working on dates and scheduling and stuff like that. Y'all gonna really enjoy. And hope everyone shares the podcast. If you like it, share it. It's available Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, it is available. That's it for us. Thanks everybody for watching. This is another edition of The Other Side.
I wanna be